Hey, what's up YouTube? It's me, Shiekrunner, and in today's video I'm going to give you a guide on how to set up a character for super speed leveling. In this guide, we're going to take a look at a gnome. So if you don't know what super speed leveling is, it's whenever you can use items from your other characters to your advantage. On launch, for example, you can't, because you have to start entirely from scratch. The first thing that we had to do is create a gnome character. And then we have to log in onto our main character and send over all of the items that we need for the speedrun. For this example, I'm just sending over a bunch of trash to my newly created character because I don't have the items required yet to do a super speed leveling run from 1 to 60. In BFA or retail, whenever you send items over from your main to your alts or twins, the mail just arrives instantly. However, that is not the case in Classic. In Classic, it actually takes an hour. So you have to wait an hour before you actually start the run. You can use this time, however, to set up your add-ons and UIs. And I'm going to showcase what you have to do for that. So as you know, the character Shiekrunner we want to set up for super speed leveling. We've already sent over items to this guy. And like I said, now it's time to set up add-ons. So how do we start? Well, the first thing that we have to go over is the fact why it already says Dun Morok here. Because whenever you create a new character, let's call it like just whatever, it actually says the location is nothing. The reason it already says Don Morok here is because I've already logged in one time with this character. Optimally at this point you wouldn't have logged in with this character at one point, but I accidentally did that. So it's not a problem, it doesn't really change much, but I'm going to showcase this on another character. So the reason you want to log in one time on the character is because the config file and the macro cache from the character is resetted upon logging in the first time with the character. Meaning that if you want to get the config cache and the macro cache working on the character from the start, you would want to have to log in one time. So this isn't a problem for me personally, depending on the it depends on the rule set that you go by. For me, the time starts whenever I start to move the character first, so I can freely log in and out. So the way that I do it is, well, you log in and you can either wait until it's completely done, but once it's like almost done, I just, well, close the game. So here's how you do that. Once you've done that, you have to actually locate your World of Warcraft folder and select either Classic or Retail, depending where you are doing the setup. So for me in this case it's Classic. Then you select the WTF folder. This is where like all of your information to your account is stored, information to your config is stored, information to your server is stored, like server settings, character settings, and add-on settings are all stored in here. So you would want to select account and then select the proper account like that you want to use for the setup. So for me, in this case, it's this one right here. So here are the server settings, and if you select the server, here are the character settings. So the character that I used this on was named, I think, like this. Oh no, like this. Yeah, this one is the right one. So as you can see, there's just very minimum stuff in here. So one thing that I want to note is always keep your WTF folder up to date and have a backup of it, because if you don't and the folder somehow gets corrupted, you're gonna have a bad time because you have to start your UI from scratch. Another thing is, whenever you make changes to the WTF folder, make sure you're not logged in, because when you're logged in, it doesn't apply your changes properly. Another thing that I want to mention is that, as you can already see, the accounts are separate, meaning that if you make changes in here, this doesn't mean that you will have it also on a different account. So what you would have to do is, for example, if you want to get the server Spinix cache from this account, to your other account, you would have to copy it over, and vice versa. So this is another thing that you should know. And also another thing is you can actually manually create folders. You don't have to let them manually be created from Blizzard or automatically be created from Blizzard. So for example, you can manually create a folder for, let's say, the server Mograine. So we would just, let's say, take this one right here, copy it over, and put it in here. So if this name is not taken, what you could just do now is create a character with this name, a Mograine, have the settings in here, and it would have the same settings then it would have on the other server, right? So that's a thing that you can do. Most of the time, you just let it automatically created by Blizzard upon logging in. But I wanted to give you this information so that you don't have this question mark. But like I already said, when you do it like this, you have to really make sure that you log in the first time, then log out, and then copy all of the stuff over because of the config and the macro cache. So that is something that I wanted to let you know about. So, but now we're going to actually do the proper setup for the character. So we're going to select the Netherguard Keep realm. Then you can see this is the character that we want to make the setup on, Shiekrunner. So here you can see my character in game. It's this one right here. So I've already logged in with this character, meaning that when I make changes to the config file, it should properly apply to the game. So, but before we do this, what we need to do is to actually close the game, because we learned that if you don't, it doesn't properly apply it. So we have to close the game. So now that we close the game, we are back here in the folder, and we go to the character that has fleshed out settings. We copy all of that and put it into this newly created character, pretty much. Then we have it all copied, and now we just need to log in, and everything should be set. Normally we would be done here because we sent items from my main character to the newly created character. We set up the UI, and now usually this would just mean we log in and start the speed run. But since I discovered a really cool method a couple of days ago that involves the unable to move function in the customer support system from Blizzard, we're actually not done here. So this is what I'm going to showcase to you now. So this is the URL for getting to the customer support system. If you are US, I assume that you just have to put US instead of EU here. So you select World of Warcraft, then choose I would rather categorize the issue, then in-game issues, then character problem. Once you're here, this is the function that we were talking about. It's unable to move. Then you continue, and now we're waiting. So this sometimes can take a while. One thing with this method is that you get a lot of unread tickets if you use it a lot. I don't know if that's a bad thing or not. I don't know if they care about that or not, or if this has any effect, or if you can get banned for this or not. Like, use it at your own risk, this method. But this is what I am currently using. The reason I'm using this is because, as you know, in Classic, mailboxes are kind of limited. And optimally, you want to get to a mailbox on level 1 because you want to use those items from your main character as early as possible. But there aren't any like mailboxes right at the starting area, at least for the gnomes. I don't think so. So the first mailbox for gnomes would be in Karanos, which you usually get to at level 5 or 6. So running to it at level 1 isn't worth it, at least in my opinion it isn't. So I was thinking about how can we get the mailbox stuff from the start. I mean, a lot of items can only be used at starting from level 5, but there might be some items that can already be used at level 1, especially like gold and stuff that could already be used for then. So with this method, you can actually do exactly that. So we send over items, we set up the UI. Now we're going to do this. So we are here now, and this is the character that we're going to use this on. This is the speed level character. So funny thing, it says the guy is level 1. Why does it say it like that? Well, because we already logged in to this character. If I create a new character, I'm going to showcase that to you. For some reason, the game always loads so long when I change the scenes. Not sure why that is. So we create a new character. We're gonna call him like that. Who cares? Now we're gonna switch scenes again. And now we're going to refresh the page. I hope that it doesn't take so long. It shouldn't, honestly. But if it does, we're just gonna cut straight away to it. So now that we're here, this is the newly created character. He is level 0 because we haven't logged in with this character yet. Remember that the location doesn't show even for a character like this. So if you would use this on this character, it would work too. It works even on characters you haven't logged in with yet. So, but we're going to use it on this character. So you select character. So normally this has an 8-hour cooldown, at least on retail, but on classic for some reason it doesn't have a cooldown. It even says that it didn't really properly work, even though it does. So I suspect this isn't intended, so use it at your own risk. Um, Maybe don't abuse it too much. That could be risky. I'm not sure. But using it once shouldn't be an issue, simply because this function is like usually in the game to get out of places that you cannot get out of without GM intervention. So, but you can use this anywhere in the world. You don't have to actually be stuck to be using this method. So now if you click move character, this will take a second to process. So based on my own experience, we can probably already log in right now because it already has registered it, even though it's still seemingly processing it. But just for this example, I'm going to let it run through because, well, I don't want it to not work in this situation. So if it but usually at this point you can already log in with the character and don't care about this anymore. It usually is already processed. So I want to also show you the error message that you get when this is completed. Because normally it should supposed to say, well, it was successful, but it doesn't really say that. And well, that's very questionable to say the least. But it still that works, and that's what matters. So this is what I'm saying. Like, there were some people that said that this unable to move abuse, I guess, isn't really useful, but it actually is really useful. It has a lot of niche usages, um, but also for the Horde, a lot bigger ones, like a teleportation to Orgrimmar whenever you want to. So this is one of more the niche usages for the speed leveler that just wanna get items straight away at the start, at least for the gnomes. I mean, it works for other races too, like for example, night elves or like any race, alliance race this would work with. Um, because, well, why wouldn't it? There's literally no reason why it wouldn't. So this is like really cool. You can also get like flight points with it in Westfall, but you don't need that flight point because you can just do this and be in Westfall. So as you can see, oops, like, looks like something went wrong. Like nothing went wrong, they are lying to you. Like what the fuck is wrong with the game? So now we're in the game and we're going to click on this guy and log in. And now you will see the magic. The reason I for example, didn't want to showcase, like reset the character thing, like let's just wait for a second. I'm going to first showcase this. So as you can see, I'm in Westfall now. So I'm a level 1 character, and even if you didn't log in, you would be in Westfall right now. So meaning that you don't even have to log in one time to get to Westfall like this. So a weird thing that can happen is when you do this, maybe it shows, sometimes you just get randomly teleported to the graveyard again. But in this case, it doesn't seem like it's happening. So here's a mailbox. You get your stuff out of this. Like this is a random garbage that I sent over from my main character. And then you just half back to your starting area. This way you can get all of the items from the start. Another thing that I would recommend you to is to not like completely make your bag full, because for good speedrun you don't want to have a full bag. So whenever you get the opportunity, just go to a mailbox again and um, get the items out of there whenever it's fitting, because for 1 to 60 speedrun you need a lot of items, and you don't even can store that many items in your bag, since the bag space in Classic is so limited. So here we would just start the quest and go on our adventure. And now I need to figure out why the fuck this macro didn't work, like these macros didn't work. This kind of has me scared, so I would need to figure that out. So, but that's not a business for you, that's my business. With that, I'm going to conclude the video. See you all. Merc out. It's funny because there was a guy called Mercator that always said it, and my nickname is actually Merc because I'm called Mirko. So Merc out is actually kind of fitting for my type of video ending. But anyways, peace!